just excited and pleased that we are able to lead off this segment with Dr. Brook Bello. Just an awesome leader in this area. Dr. Brook Bello is author of Living Inside the Rainbow, and also a filmmaker, actress, and founder CEO of More to Life, an innovative social justice and anti-sexual violence organization that provides various victims resources and aftercare for all forms of human trafficking and sexual violence. I want to give you time to hear Dr. Bello, so I'm really going to highlight pieces from her bio. She has spoken and taught alongside some of the world's most influential people, including US presidents, governors, senators, legislators, and community leaders. She is on the board of the Department of Justice Justice for Sarasota and 9 counties, recognized for her fearless ability to share her faith and her story in a provocative style. Dr. Bello is also an ordained minister. She has been a keynote speaker at President Carter's Eradication of Modern-Day Slavery Summit at the White House, and before President Jimmy Carter's presentation on victims of violence services. She received her bachelor's degree in biblical studies from Covenant Theological Seminary and is completing her master's in Christian counseling. She received her doctorate of human letters from the Richmond, Virginia Seminary in 23, and she received this for her years of working in youth services and in the nonprofit sector. Dr. Bello is a leading and passionate advocate for fighting for the rights of children, teens, and women while having a heart for male youth, fathers, men of honor, and understanding that men are the triggers, but also important in the discussion around solutions. More to Life has created key initiatives that assist demand prevention, mentor male youth, work with registered offenders, and even teach a curriculum that trains men on dealing with today's struggle with pornography and exploitation. I can tell you, Dr. Bello is much, much more exciting than the reading of my reading of her bio. So you're in for a treat. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bello.
She's precious. She did good, right?
Yes.
Well, I just want to thank you, United Way. You have to hashtag Live United by Stop Traffic. I know that's what Brian Gallagher and Mara would probably, that they had me doing, so I'm stuck to that. This is the clicker? Okay. So, as you all know, is my timekeeper. It begins now, right? I'm really grateful to be here, and I would say that what was said earlier is that by the Attorney General of the age of death or loss of life. And so it's a miracle that I'm here. And it's a miracle that many survivors have the opportunity to speak before you and share, because really it's intelligence, right? On the other side of adversity is an equal or greater reward if you can get to the other side. And that is the quandary. Ryan, who's amazing, who I met a little bit ago, had the most difficult time getting my bio in. We were going back and forth on what he wanted me to share. And with the short time that I have, I'm going to cover kind of 2 points that was the focal point of United Way today. And one of them is obviously misconceptions about survivors, the issue in addition to the importance of survivor leadership. I never met a girl, I never met a little boy who didn't want their innocence back. I remember specifically being beneath a 350-pound fat man, and the room was full of men. This was after I had been trafficked for a while, injected with drugs. I was a straight-A student. I was a little leader in my little school. I was an athlete, and my mother was a victim of domestic violence, one of the causes of the issue, and so me and my brother were secondary victims. It was easy for me to be manipulated after I was brutally raped by a friend of my grandfather's at 11. My whole world changed after that, and it was very difficult to hold on to what I thought life was. But innocence, a misconception for survivors and for the general public is that we can't get innocence back. Because children, women, men want innocence back. And you may not ever understand that unless you've been in a room and traded, sodomized, and beaten, and raped over and over again. You might not know that we as survivors have actually literally lived in hell. And the stuff that we've seen I can't really repeat because it's that dark. But it is an extraordinary thing that I'm here before you in my right mind. Considering I've been in gutters with my teeth knocked out in a drunken stupor. I will say one thing about God today, because it was founded by like a priest and a rabbi, and that I just want to thank God for being alive. So the state equality or fact of being innocent of a crime or offense, innocence, guiltlessness, blamelessness, free from corruption, purity. At the crux and core, survivors can get that back when you begin to understand that you are blameless, that you are guiltless, and thus free from the corruption that plagued your soul, your will, your mind, and your emotions through trauma, in addition to the root causes of human trafficking, which over 80% of girls that were trafficked or prostituted have come from a home that was domestic violence, fatherlessness, which is orphan in degree, rape, molestation, and all manner of other forms of sexual violence. And I was just telling Alex, I love what he does, and I do some work with Alex, because he really does a lot of profound research, along with Hunter Alternative, that supports all of these truths. Thank you, Alex. I always wanted a dad. It's no wonder that one of my pets, because I've had more than one call, I had to call him daddy. Daddy this, daddy that, master this, master that. Because there's not a child that doesn't want a father, or a woman who doesn't want a good man of honor by her side. I always say men are the biggest part of the issue of human trafficking, and so they will be the biggest part of the solutions. And I'm a living witness that just because your virginity is stolen and robbed, I'm still innocent, because innocence is just being blameless. And maybe they robbed my husband and I from having children because I was so violated physically. When I married him, I still considered myself a virgin, because it was the first time that I made a choice to willingly surrender to a man that I loved. Misconceptions. It is not sex slavery, and you cannot buy sex. Sex comes from the Greek word koinonia. It means to know and be known. It is passion, it is love, it is something between two consenting adults that is a beautiful thing. This is never that. So we have to teach our communities that you cannot buy sex. You just can't. Language is key. This is a huge misconception. One thing that survivors know, I will say this, victim to survivor, and I've just registered this trademark. More life is victim to survivor, survivor to thriver, thriver to champion. Why is that? Because I have a girlfriend who survived breast cancer. She knows she survived it. She went through chemo, she fought with the doctor, fought to change her diet, fought to go back and forth, fought in the process of losing her hair. And when she got on the other side of it and the cancer went into remission, she was celebrated it. But victims don't know that they don't know that they're victims. Harriet Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves and I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves. So when you grow up in lasciviousness and rape and debaucherousness and incest and molestation and fatherlessness, when you're finally manipulated away into a trafficking, forced prostitution situation, at some point you acquiesce and surrender. If you don't, you will be whooped and beat. So here comes the blame game, the guilt. The misconception is that who was there in the